My name's Craig Wiley. I run product management for AI at Databricks, and really excited to be here. I will say for the AWS fans out there, my AWS connection is I was actually the founder of SageMaker as well. So that was a good time back in the day. But been at Databricks for the last few years, and really been helping try and drive our customers' adoption of GenAI.
Well, welcome to the
Appreciate
show.
It.
So I know there are a lot of people out there in the audience that don't know who Databricks is. Can we take a few minutes to talk about what Databricks is?
Yeah, absolutely. So Databricks is an end-to-end data platform that starts kind of with data ingestion up through data pipelines into kind of data warehousing, and then ultimately into kind of BI and AI and machine learning, and really gives you kind of a premium experience across that entire journey, and giving you kind of unified governance across that entire journey, and unified observability across that journey, and really giving kind of that end-to-end data product that so many companies have been looking for.
Wow, super interesting.
Craig, I will say, I had the same stars in my eyes when I see you, when I saw the Rolling Stones and Mick Jagger back in the day, because you founded SageMaker. I've used SageMaker for, I don't know, God knows how long, but it's such a great product, and thanks for doing it. I will say, excuse me, sorry, the Databricks AI AWS partnership has been rock solid from day one. And here's the deal. It's been growing significantly by leaps and bounds, particularly not just from the standpoint of integrations and service integrations, more importantly from the standpoint of getting to resolve some very pressing customer issues across a wide range of verticals, right? So, I mean, this is a partnership that's turbocharged, that's high octane, and we're just getting started, if you can believe it.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly, we partner with all the clouds, but really we see tremendous excitement from our AWS customers who are, and I say that they're our AWS customers, right? They're first and foremost AWS customers who are using Databricks on top of AWS to provide that kind of premium end-to-end data journey and data experience. And it really has, I think right back at you with the fact that AWS has been a tremendous partner and really phenomenal when it comes to, the world's been changing fast over the last couple of years with GenAI. And so having a partner who's super responsive as we try and build new capabilities for our customers, sometimes we need new capabilities kind of at the lowest level of the platform. And this is an area where really AWS is unrivaled in their ability to support us.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. You guys are like integrated into just almost everything. I mean, when I talk to like developers that are just the first time we're doing AWS, all the way up to people who are like in the enterprise and actually like using your tool. So let's talk a little bit. How does the partnership with AWS kind of break down the wall and help with that enterprise adoption with AI?
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, first of all, so many companies are on AWS already, right? And so really, if you're going to be an enterprise player, I don't think you can do it without being a part of AWS to some extent, right? And so really exciting for us to be able to take advantage of the fact that data gravity and the fact that so many of these Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies have already established themselves on AWS, and then we can just be a bonus that they can bring in on top of that, some of those AWS capabilities to help kind of really accelerate some of their data and AI objectives.
That's right, and those objectives are very important, right? But here's I don't mean to throw a curveball, but I will because it's fun.
At least a hanging curveball.
That's right. And you can use the SWOR jar, by the way.
There you go.
Yes.
I don't need to do a plug for Databricks. I love it, by the way. But you can do a much better job than I can.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, one of the challenges that a lot of our customers talk about on a regular basis is, look, it's one thing for us to be able to develop agents and agent orchestrations and all the rest of the stuff, particularly with a lot of the hardware and the software that goes to the back end. It's one thing to be able to show a proof of concept or a demo in a show like this. But it's another thing entirely if you were to speak to a healthcare services provider and say, hey, look, I'm here to be able to do agent orchestration, to be able to deliver a good patient healthcare outcomes. Or if you speak to financial services, say, hey, look, fraud detection is really at the top, or manufacturing, whatever, you pick your use case, right? What is your sense of how a great tool or a great capability, more importantly, like Agentbricks is used to bridge that gap between the promise that you see in a proof of concept and going to production to say, hey, look, we're able to do things at scale for all kinds of verticals and partners?
It's a really good question. Proof of concepts actually, I think in the last 12 to 24 months have actually been a headwind in many ways. And the reason I say this is that GenAI it's so easy to create a great demo sitting on top of GenAI.
That's right.
And the challenge. We create great demos. AWS, everybody creates great demos on top of GenAI. The challenge is not can you create the demo, but how do you go from there into production? And when I say production, I don't just mean, hey, a little personal productivity hack for my team and I.
That's right.
I really want to know, how do you get into the path of risk? How do you get to a place where you can deploy externally to customers in a reputational risk environment, or internally into maybe a workflow that maybe has some amount of financial risk? And when you decide that GenAI is going to be more than just a personal productivity hack and is going to go into those paths of risk, to your point, a new toolkit is needed. You no longer, those tools that you use to build the demos, they don't work like the way you want them to when you actually want to get into production and get to a place where you're managing that risk.
Yeah. So just to double click on that. So just say with risk. So enterprises want to have these things around governance. They want to have security. Can you talk a little bit about how that kind of fits into like these solutions and what that looks like is like a huge scale deployment?
I mean, when we think about AI, we really think about just two primary concepts. One is governance. Yeah. It's, can I control it? Can I make sure that I know exactly what it's capable of doing, and that I know, what it has access to and what the user of it has access to? And really included in governance is that concept of observability and monitoring, right? So can I control it is really what I mean there. And then the second piece is evaluation, right? Does it produce the outputs that I want it to? And I call this the CFO test, which is if you wanted to deploy an agent into production, what's going to happen? Your CFO is going to come to you and they're going to say, well, what's the worst that can happen? Well, do you have control over this thing? And you're going to say, oh yeah, here's all the things it can do. Here's the things it can't. Here's how I'm controlling that with governance. And then the second thing they're going to do is say, does it work? Right? And that's evaluation. And so really, once you have those two, listen, which orchestration framework you use, which model you use, these are implementation details.
And to be honest, they're questioning about cost. So
absolutely. Yeah. No. Cost is always a piece. And one of the things, you had mentioned Agentbricks, which is our latest product for helping folks build agents. And one of the things that Agentbricks does now, which we're really proud of, is once you've got that agent up and running and it's working the way you want it to, you hit the optimize button.
I see.
And we go and first of all, we drive down cost, and then we actually give you a choice of, hey, do you want to use model A, which might be expensive, and slow and but is accurate, is really accurate, or do you want to use model B or C, which might be a little faster, a little cheaper, and maybe a little less accurate, depending on your use case? You might be willing to trade off a little bit on those dimensions.
There are many kinds of double clicks that I can do based on what Brian asked and your response to that. But before I get into the double click of the double click, I just want to quickly apologize because inadvertently, and I'm sure the Databricks and AWS brand police are going to kill me at some point in time, which is okay. I said Agentbricks is a tool. It is not. It is a product. It's a massive product. It's a very important product. I will correct myself. Anybody who wants to shoot me after this.
You have to go in the swear jar.
That's my equivalent of the sword.
Listen. I don't know if a hammer is a tool or a product, but either way, it's useful.
No, it is not a tool. A tool is a productivity hack. To your point.
My goal is just to make it as useful. Here's the deal. We're actually at a kind of dangerous time in GenAI, which is that we've seen millions of dollars of enterprise investment in GenAI, and most companies are struggling to point to the returns.
That's right.
And our hypothesis is it's because they haven't gotten to the place where they can deploy these into those higher ROI use cases because they don't trust them yet.
That's right.
And so how do we build that trust? It's governance and it's evaluation.
That's right.
Right.
There is, to the point of the double click, right? There is a huge, one of the customers that I was speaking to yesterday talked to me about reputational impact. You talked about CFOs and CFOs coming and saying, look, man,
Yes.
look, you can't be spending all this money because you know what? I have a certain budget and I have to optimize. But the other thing is, if you don't do it the right way in terms of scaling it out to large numbers of customers, imagine going to a customer and saying, hey, I'm going to decline your credit card application because I think you're a fraudster. I mean, to a high net worth individual, if you said something like that, that's going to.
I mean, we call it reputational risk. It's just because we don't know how to measure the financial risk there.
That's right.
It's still financial risk.
That's right. Your CFO, I'm sure, is concerned about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I think that is how can we help organizations figure out how to drive that trust, how to drive that trust and usefulness.
That's right.
So that they can get the value of these things in those maybe higher risk, but higher reward use cases.
That's right. That's right. What is an example that you can provide, or without naming customers or whatever, what are some of your modal use cases that you see all the time, particularly with Agentbricks and all the other tools, products that you have as part of Databricks?
I think like everyone, we kind of classically see the customer service use cases and kind of like a lot of the classic chat use cases. But really what's been interesting to me over the last 6 months is we're starting to see, what for a better purpose I'll call kind of, I think Sam Altman said we're about to enter the fast fashion era for SaaS. Right. And we're starting to see that show up. We're starting to see companies say, hey, I've got this vendor who I'm not in love with, and I don't think it would be that hard for me to code up something similar to this, maybe to use some vibe coding to get it started. And then once I've got it started, build a couple agents behind the scenes to really operate that system. And so we're starting to see that glimpse of, I think, many of our top leaders have kind of identified this as probably where the real enterprise value is going to come in the near term. And I'm really excited that with this ability to really drive evaluation and drive the performance and trust in these systems, we're able to start seeing us unlock some of these more advanced and more difficult use cases.
Wow, that's super cool.
That automatically gets us to the point of, and I hate to use this overused word, democratization.
Oh, there we go.
Yes.
There we go.
You knew it was going to come at some point in time.
Yeah.
It has to come. But it's very close to the point you were making, right? Which is now, if you're in a position to be able to simply code up, to use your vernacular, and create agents, groups of agents, create the orchestration framework. And of course, you have to have governance. And what does it mean for large enterprises like Databricks, who have actually spent years and years doing research and development? And now we're opening up the floodgates saying, hey, you too can develop a bunch of agents.
It's interesting. One of the things, so Agentbricks is an entirely language-based system, right? You don't code, you just talk to it about kind of what you want the agent to do, and then you continue to give it feedback. And the primary persona we come in and see in building these things are app devs, right? They're application developers who want an agent to help superpower their application, and so they come in to build. And listen, they can piece together. If I give them an SDK and code, they can piece together a pretty good system.
Yeah.
But to your point, we've got researchers with years of experience staying really abreast of the latest and greatest capabilities, which means that if you're using Agentbricks, when you build a RAG system, you're not just getting a vanilla RAG system. You're getting literally kind of the latest, in the last 4 to 6 weeks, what have the publications said? You're getting that as your RAG system. And so, and I think, really exciting to see how AWS customers can use Databricks not only to orchestrate and run things in Databricks or on Databricks, but really starting to look out into their entire AWS ecosystem. How can we interact these things with the rest of what I'm doing on top of AWS?
That's right. And look, that makes a big difference, right? Where I see the handoff point is that you're providing a set of solutions and a platform for people to do coding up and creating their own agents. But ultimately, you need a robust platform with all the bells and whistles in terms of governance, security,
Absolutely.
in terms of guardrails and all
Cost
the rest of it.
management,
Yeah,
too,
cost management,
Cost
absolutely.
management.
Right, because CFO, I
Yeah.
mean, the
Yeah.
dude's looking at my name in the spreadsheet and saying, when am I going to get rid of this guy because he's too expensive, whatever the case might be. Right? I think my point is, I think a platform, a solid, robust platform like Databricks actually delivers on the huge enterprise capability that our customers need.
Yeah.
So I think it's a
and we're really excited by the momentum we've got on the AWS platform, and really excited by kind of the continued interest we see of folks. Now that Databricks is offering not only Claude but also OpenAI and Gemini on AWS.
Yes.
We see customers who previously were talking to us about other clouds.
Yes.
Right. AWS customers who are coming to us saying, I don't know if I need to be on Google.
That's right.
And we're sitting there going, well, listen, you've got their crown jewel in Gemini available to you right here on AWS.
That's right.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Right. And so that's really been a great way for us to kind of help drive that continued success.
That's right. Brian was making the point earlier, right? To me as we were talking. Look, democratization in terms of model availability is a big deal.
Oh yeah.
And we provide that from this with
any model they want there on AWS.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
So with that said, these are technologies that we have now. I'm going to ask this question to both of you guys. First, I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to ask you. What does the future look like for these technologies? So you can be wrong. It's okay.
I mean, this is.
You make SageMaker.
I would say this is I would say it's the $1 million question, but it's not the million. It's probably not even the billion. It's probably the $1 trillion question here, right? Is what does the future of this look like? And I, to be perfectly honest, I think anyone who right now can look out beyond 6 months and tell what the world's going to look like is probably, they're better at this than I am, certainly, kind of that, certainly we're really excited about helping these companies build these high quality agents that they can get into production. And then I think we're really going to start seeing where this starts to take off. Once once this becomes, kind of the lingua franca, I think back to, when GitHub Copilot first launched, everyone kind of looked at it and was like, the autocomplete's okay. Now, all of our engineers are using some kind of coding assistant or autocomplete capability. And I think, the idea that we're going to see the same thing with agents of, hey, we look at them in 2025 and we go, oh, yeah, they're cool. I can see where the opportunity's coming. But, as we go into 2026 and 2027, I think the world, really enterprise software as we know it is going to be transformed by this technology.
All right, to you, sir. Where's
I fully agree with you. I will approach that question from a different angle, from the customer angle, right? There are very many exciting things that are happening with, our one of our leadership principles, as we talked about, is always about working backwards from what the customer wants, customer obsession. So from that standpoint, and I will speak specifically to this partnership between Databricks and AWS, the future I can see on that front, I will say, is very bright for two reasons. Number one, it is very important for a number of our customers across very, very important verticals, and all the verticals are important, to depend on a set of capabilities that can actually deliver on their very major use cases. I mean, big retail companies depend on customer satisfaction, customer retention. So from the standpoint, I think, it's very robust. The second thing is what both of you brought up, which is people are making it easy for development to happen across a wide constituency of users. And I think from that standpoint, the numbers of people who are using these technologies is increasing. Therefore, the partnership with it is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger.
Absolutely.
That's my prediction.
Absolutely.
Well said. So thank you so much for being here.
Excited
I'm looking to have you on in the future to see if you were absolutely right.
There you go.
And we're super excited. So stay tuned. We'll be back with our next
Thank you very much.